Hello Cherries fans, and welcome to my reaction video to the Nottingham Forest game. Of course, on Saturday the dust has settled now, so I wanted to give my honest opinions after what I think was 2 points dropped. And I'm gonna make an admission now. I've been behind Gary O'Neill from day one. I really like the guy. He's quite astute, very tactical, very knowledgeable. You know, it comes across that way, but I think that we're going to have to make a change, especially considering where we are, our inability to hold on to a lead, and it's a real shame. I'm a bit gutted about it, actually, because, of course, I met Gary in the day with Algard, and he come across such a nice guy. He was studying every part of Brentford, because we had Brentford at home that weekend. He was studying all the eventualities, and I think what he was doing initially was working. I think, you know, he was looking at teams and he was determining, right, okay, how do we get under their skin and so on and so forth. But it's come to the point now where we've got a 2-week window before the Brighton game. Of course, we're out of the Cup, so that makes it a little bit easier to do something in this period of time. I think we've got to look at doing something now. If we don't do something now, we've got to stick by Gary for the rest of the season. Of course, Everton have sacked Frank Lampard this morning, and Everton are in dire straits. I don't think it's going to be any good for them, personally. I think it's toxic running through that club at the moment. Whereas, would I say it's toxic at AFCB? To be fair, some fans, you could probably sense that we've got that sense of entitlement from our last time in the Premier League, and I don't think we should have that. We are still a very, very small club. We're still a club that, you know, I know Dan Hume has gone to Everton, and I'm frustrated by that because, personally, I think they're in a worse situation than we are, but they are a bigger club. That is true. You know, I'm not going to beat around the bush. They are a bigger club. Southampton's a bigger club. Every club in the Premier League's a bigger club than us. So we've got no right to be in this division. And, you know, those fans that do think that we're entitled to, you know, need to have a hard look at themselves. However, what I will say is the performances haven't been good enough recently. Saturday was a lot better. I was happy with Saturday to an extent, and the to an extent bit is it was against Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest have picked up decent results. They do look a threat, but still, they are a team that, if we want to stay in this division, we've got to be beaten at home. You know, there's no ifs or buts about it. You know, I'm sure they would be saying the same about us, you know, when we went to City Ground earlier on in the season. When they were 2-0 up, I'm sure they were saying, well, we needed to really beat them, you know, to actually stay in this division. I think, you know, let's look at the positives. Dango Ouattara was very, very good. You know, I was really impressed by him. You know, I really do think he'll be an exciting player. I've seen some clips of him on YouTube. He's very, very skillful, very knowledgeable. I think, you know, he will be a talented player. He's only 20 years old. He's only going to get better. So that's a big plus for me. We have got a number of players out, you know, and one of the questions has to be, is Jamal Lowe and Emi Macondes, why have we let them go when we're having to put academy players on the bench? I don't understand that. Now, I do not understand that at all, because that is ridiculous. You know, Shrika Dembele, Ben Pearson, we had to bring those players on because literally we haven't got anybody else. we do need to turn this round, and very quickly, and we need a positive result against Brighton. My concern with Gary O'Neill now, you know, the goal that we scored on Saturday was really good. Atara to Jaden Anthony, excellent goal. My concern is, how can we not defend Leeds? Fulham twice. Now, to be honest, it wasn't so much of a concern at that point because we didn't really detect it as a problem. We didn't detect it as a problem. We was 1-0 up, bought 1-1, then 2-0 up, then 2-2. Yeah, I think the Mitrovic penalty was a little bit farcical, but, you know, even then, you know, it's one of those. The Spurs game, you know, 2-0 up against Spurs, we're looking in a good place. We should have made it more difficult for them. To be honest, we made it too easy for Spurs. The only team really we've defended well against, you know, when we're being ahead, is Leicester. And to be honest, well, you could say Everton, but I don't think they're very, very good whatsoever. I think they're terrible. So I'm not even counting that one. But we should have made it more difficult for Spurs. They've done this a number of times, but, you know, at the end of the day, still, they won 3-2. The worst one for me has to be the Leeds game. Now, you're 3-1 up. You're cruising. You look in a good place. And then it just all collapses. And this, unfortunately, is Gary O'Neill's problem. And this is what needs to get corrected. And if he can't correct it, I think personally we have to change the manager. It's such a shame. A shame. I'm gutted to be saying this, but 3-1 lead, you should be holding on. Considering the time it was in that game, we should have been holding on against Leeds. And we should have been holding on against Nottingham Forest on Saturday, because that was a vital 3 points. If we had got those 3 points, we would have been 14th in the league. We end up in the relegation zone, just above Everton. We need to do something within this window to actually change it around. But that's my thoughts. Do let us know what you think and send in your videos.